My name is Nina Phillips, and I'm in California with the CBIG group, and I'm going to share a classic testimony today, meaning that this happened years ago when I was first born again, probably about 30 years ago. And I have shared this 1,000 times, and I love it. And it was my deliverance from smoking cigarettes. So I believe it is just relevant for anybody, whether they smoke or not, because I heard an author say one time that if we're alive, we're addicted to something. There's a hole in our heart, and we all fill it with things besides Jesus till he gets us complete and home to heaven. So this was back in 89, 90. I had been with the Lord about a year, and he began to tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, these cigarettes, they're kind of killing you. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, cigarettes, they're my friend. They are my BFF. And I mean, if anybody has smoked before, they are your BFF. I mean, you smoke when you're up, you smoke when you're down, you smoke with a cup of coffee, you smoke when you're partying. I mean, they're just there constantly. And you could just not imagine life without a cigarette. It was just impossible. But I submitted in my heart, and I thought, okay, I'll give this a go. So I proceeded to do all the little tricks. I'll smoke 10 today, 9 tomorrow, 8 the next day. I don't think patches and things were out yet. I'm not too sure, but that's one thing I didn't do. But I went through it, and I found myself more often than not up in the middle of the night, drying off cigarette butts with my blow dryer, getting cigarettes out of the ashtray and re-rolling them, in papers. And I mean, you'd kill your mother for a cigarette, and I'm not kidding you. I was up to 2 packs a day quite often because we were heavy partiers and stuff. And I smoked since the 8th grade. And I was about, I think 29 or so when the Lord was tapping me on my shoulder there. So in all of that, I was going through a hard time because I did not know the grace and mercy of God. I was so guilt-ridden. How can I love God and smoke these cigarettes? And, back and forth, because you kept trying and you kept failing, and you kept trying and kept failing. So the guilt and the shame were tremendous. And I just walked around defeated most of the time, even though I was trying very, very hard. And this all took about a year and a half. And at the end of that year and a half, when he delivered me, I was just so down. I just said, this is how much I knew of the Lord's business or heart or how it worked. But I said, I just got to quit praying. I can't love God and smoke cigarettes at the same time. So I just got to quit praying. Well, you don't quit praying. It's kind of silly sounding now, but I was serious. And so I can't pray because I'm not worthy, So about a week after that thought, a couple gals came to our door from a church we had visited, me and my husband. And it was late in the evening, and they, knocked on the door and opened the door, and they said, how you doing? And I put on my big Christian smile that I was doing just wonderful and great. And then I looked at him, and I just, I'm trying to quit smoking and I can't. And I just lost it, And I remember the lady giving me a hug, and then she said, leave him at Jesus's feet. And I thought, well, what in the hell does that mean? That was just a Christian term. I thought, huh? Well, they prayed for me, a short prayer. And that was it. And we parted. And I went to bed. And when I got in bed, I just started bawling. And I'm like, oh, gosh, what's this about? And I was just, wailing, crying. Later, I found out that, to me, that's called healing tears. He was just working in my heart there. Well, the next morning I woke up, and I have not touched a cigarette since. Woke up, and I'm telling you, I did not kick the cat. I did not gain 1 pound. I did not chew out my husband. I did not chew a piece of gum. Nothing. Absolutely gone. To this day, never touched one, never desired to have one. Everything was just totally gone. He delivered me. And I never struggled with believing there was a God. I was raised with that. But if I ever did doubt there was a God, that would have did it for me, because I did not quit on my own. I could not do it. So in all of that, I have this big teaching that goes with that because, and I'm not going to share all that now, but one point in that, due to the guilt and shame that I experienced so heavily, about a week later after that, I ran across a Bible verse that deliverance and salvation comes from the Lord. And again, being a young Christian and seeing that verse for the first time, I thought, wow, he did that. I didn't have anything to do with that. And so then it kind of hit me, I'm going, in my critical thinking, I go, well, if you asked me to quit a year and a half ago and it was all your idea and you're the one that did it, why did you take so long? That just seems silly if these cigarettes are killing you, you know? Why didn't you do it then? Well, as I've learned, he's so much after the motive behind our smoking, the root to the smoking, not the symptom. And so it took, you know, as I put it in my simple English, that long to get to the root of the issues. And also in that, he just wanted me to see his character and to see my shame and my guilt and to learn his heart, that he has so much mercy for me that I didn't know. And I needed to learn to love myself in my failings and my weaknesses, which was really hard for me, obviously, by the way I responded. And I wanted to, you know, quit praying. And so there was much learned there. And I've got pages that I've written out about that. And it's going to go in my little book. But in the end, the bottom line was, and to all of us that struggle with addiction, is that when that time comes, he delivers us because he delights in us. Period. Amen.